The arrival has finally happened here from Iran. I'm sure it's a sigh of relief for these 5 American prisoners. They've been released as part of that prisoner swap. 5 Iranians held captive for 5 Americans held captive, plus the release of the sanctions set on that Iranian $6 billion in South Korea. That has been lifted as well, part of this right now. They have just landed here. We're learning these 5 Americans here in Qatar. Some of the 5 Iranian citizens, to look on the other side of it, they were accused of violating international sanctions. However, they have been released. But what you're seeing now are the 5 Americans that have been released. Again, is just touching down on the tarmac there. You see the jetway. So watching this play out here, Karoline, I'll go to you on it. This was brokered by both governments, Iran, the U.S., to release a 5 for 5 here, but with addition of releasing the freeze or the hold, if you will, on the Iranian funds discussed. And Trump, I believe, was asked about this on Meet the Press as well. I'm curious to know your thoughts on this deal, Karoline.
Well, obviously what we're seeing right now is welcome news. To see Americans come home is always a good thing, and God bless them. And I'm sure it is a massive sigh of release for those Americans and their families. However, this deal was terrible for our nation. While we got these 5 hostages back, Iran got 5 prisoners in the swap as well. But then Iran also got $6 billion, American taxpayer dollars. What was the
Well, it wasn't tax dollars. It's not tax dollars, just to be very clear. It was Iranian funds that were held up.
They released the funds, correct. But the White House still has not given a real justified answer as to why that money was sent. And President Trump has been, rightfully so, very critical of the deal and has said that Joe Biden is incapable of making deals with both our allies and, of course, our adversaries around the world. Iran is a nation that has nuclear weapons. It's a nation that does not like America. It's a nation in which its people oftentimes chant death to America. And it's not a country that we should certainly be greenlighting anything to, especially $6 billion additional dollars on top of a deal that was already quite unfair. And so I think this is just another foreign policy example of how we cannot afford to have Joe Biden in this White House for another 4 years, leading our military and leading the free world. You've seen Iran now and also Vladimir Putin in Russia take advantage of Biden's weakness with the war in Ukraine. You've seen President Xi in China also take advantage of Biden's weakness. They're encroaching on Taiwan. None of these discussions ever occurred under the previous administration. And so I think while it's a happy day for these families, it also just proves that Biden is incapable of leading this great nation and our military on the world stage.
Wanted to bring in Randy Zelin. Again, as we're watching this moment play out, you've got, I mean, we saw it happen, right? The reunification. You've got people who are held in Iran, American citizens, now headed back or about to be en route back to the United States. Your thoughts on this deal?
Sure. There's no however and there's no but. Anybody who wants to talk about, well, this is wrong or politicize this, let it be your father, let it be your brother, let it be your best friend who's been held captive. You can't put a number on another human being's life. This is not about politics. This is about bringing Americans home. And to your point, it wasn't our money. The taxpayers are not paying this. And even if they were, if it were my father, I would want the money paid. And as far as the Trump interview goes, from one of my heroes, Dandy Don Meredith, they probably should have shut out the House lights, because for him to admit, yeah, it was completely my idea, I was the one that wanted to overturn the election, that might have a little bit of an issue with your defense lawyer's defense of you at the criminal trials.
Yeah, again, we are continuing to cover not only that interview there with NBC's Meet the Press, but again, obviously the 5 Americans here landing, obviously a welcome sight. A lot to discuss, though, in terms of how that money was going to be used. Remember, they wanted it only for humanitarian aid. Obviously, Iran says they would use it differently. Matt Lieberman, Karoline Leavitt, Randy Zelin, thank you for your time on that.
All right, thank you all.